and welcome to our marriage table. Today is going to be fun. We are going to talk about how we met. I don't know if the men like these kind of stories. I know the women do for whatever reason. And so I'll let him start, and then, of course, I'll correct anything he gets wrong.
Facts will come from me. Sarah-Gayle and I met at UCLA. Sarah-Gayle played soccer there. I ran track. And Sarah-Gayle's 2 years older than me. She's a little bit of the old lady in our family.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
The thought is we die at the same time because there's about a 2-year difference, at least last time I checked. So in our sleep at the same time.
Yeah. So anyways, we met at UCLA as a part of a campus ministry called Athletes in Action. And so we actually went there, and this Athletes in Action was not large. It had maybe like 20 to 30 people in it. And my freshman year I went, Sarah-Gayle's 2 years older, so her junior year, and she was the leader. So we were a part of that for about a year, and it was such a memorable experience for Sarah-Gayle that when we had a conversation my sophomore year, her senior year, she actually thought it was the first time that we had ever talked. Minus I had asked her to go to lunch, which she said no. And once again, we're in the same ministry of about 20 to 30 people for a year, one little room once a week. So obviously I made a great first impression my first year, but I came back strong. I brought my A game my sophomore year. And any facts that you'd like to add?
Well, I don't know what happened there. There could have been a multiple number of issues. One of them, my intention going to UCLA was to marry a professional athlete, whether it was a football player or a basketball player, and the other requirement is that they would be black. And so I didn't see a lot of non-black athletes clearly. But secondly, I do not remember those times that he asked me to go have food. And if he did, it would have been weird because I didn't know him. But you got to play hard to get also. So I'm kind of proud of myself when I hear this story.
So then sophomore year, we're at a party at UCLA. All the fall sports are on campus before a lot of the students. So we're there and we're at a party and everybody's dancing. I don't dance really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on that. So I'm hanging out up against the wall as a wallflower, and here comes Sarah-Gayle, which at the time her last name was Swanson, so everybody called her Swanee. So I start talking to Swanee, realize she didn't really know who I am, but we start talking, and I invite her to go to church.
Yeah, because I'm against the wall as well, because although I love music, I love dancing, I don't feel very confident dancing. I had this traumatic time when I was in high school. I was at this club, which is weird, because I don't know if there are high school clubs. But I was at a high school club, and I was dancing. I remember this guy comes up, he starts dancing with me, and then all of a sudden he's like, "You can't dance." And so ever since then, I was not comfortable dancing. So I was against the wall as well. And then what are we talking about?
Well, we were just talking about life. And she was a leader in the student ministry, so I assumed she went to church.
Oh.
And I had a car my sophomore year. I didn't have a car my freshman year, and I wanted to find a church. So I asked somebody who I saw as a leader in an on-campus ministry, thinking that, well, certainly they go to church, only to find out she didn't.
I did go to church. My friend Nandy Ty and I, we would go to church, but we were growing in our faith. We weren't mature Christians. So we kind of church hop. And again, the goal was to find a black man, preferably athlete. And so we'd go to all the Baptist churches in LA. So I didn't have a church home.
So during this conversation, I obviously didn't know about this plan, but we talked about going to church. We kind of go our separate ways. Didn't even get each other's phone numbers. Yeah, you want to go ahead and tell them what happened next?
So then Whitney Witt, I'm throwing her in the story. She was my college roommate, and she actually ended up, we knew where he lived for some reason, and so she remembered, like, let's go. We didn't get his number because I truly wanted him to take me to church, and it was very platonic and just nice guy. We were against the wall talking at the party the whole time. It was so great. I loved the conversation. I was drawn to it. And so Whitty Witt's like, I know where he lives, so let's go knock on his door. At this point, it was like how early was it? 2 in the morning?
It was, I would prefer to say it's late, early, whatever, but
okay.
I was sleeping.
So
was sleeping.
my friend Whitney goes and knocks on the door, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But I wasn't that nervous because, again, it was platonic. I'm like, he said he has a car. I've been wanting to find a church home. And so she knocks on the door, and apparently she went in, his roommate opened, she just walked right in and just jumped on top of him, sleeping, and was like, Swanee wants your number.
Yeah, so I'm half asleep. Her roommate climbs into my bed, kind of awkward. We'll leave it at that. It's just an exchange of a phone number, nothing else. Then she actually, from there, went to the East Coast for a soccer game, and I actually went to Hawaii to train there and to run in a cross-country race with UCLA, and she accidentally called me. One of her good friends' names was Chadney, who also became one of my good friends in college, and my name is Chad, so obviously we're next to each other on the cell phone. So she accidentally called me in Hawaii at 5 in the morning because she was 6 hours ahead of me at that point. We hadn't talked to each other since then. It's kind of a short conversation, kind of fast forwarding this story. We get back on campus. We start hanging out every day at UCLA. And after a couple months, we're in the car hanging out. We've checked out a couple churches at this point. And we're in the car, and I'm kind of thinking, man, like, this Swanee girl is pretty cool, you know? And so it's like, I kind of want this Swanee girl not to be just like that girl, but to be my girl. So
cute.
In the car, in the garage, I kind of said, hey, you know, like, do you want to be my girl or whatever? And so
how old were you then?
I was 19, baby face.
Yeah.
So we started dating and dated for about a year, and then ended up proposing. Mm-hmm. And our proposal happened actually in New York, which was pretty romantic.
Oh, yeah. Because I am a romantic. I grew up believing truly I was a princess. Until my recent DNA test, I really did think I was a lost princess from maybe like Ethiopia or somewhere. Yeah, so I was disappointed in those results that came back.
Yeah, side topic, not quite sure those DNA tests are very accurate. My sister and I apparently don't have the same DNA, which maybe there's a story my parents need to tell us that we don't know. But as far as we know, the DNA test is a little bit off there. But so we go and I propose in New York.
So it was on a horse and carriage ride. But wait, sorry, I just blew it. I said the first part. We'll come back to it. First was a jazz club, the Iridium. I remember the name. It was a jazz club because I love jazz. I love music. And we got all dressed up, and we were walking through New York, and there was just a situation where there happened to be a huge rat, and it was drama. He ran out of money for the taxi and had to carry me.
Ran out of cash, not money. Cash on me. That sounds a lot worse. So part of this is we get into New York, and I've never been to New York before, and you know, trying to keep this proposal moving forward. Fellas, if you're still watching this, which at this point there's no way you are, so we're only talking to the ladies, but just in case, for whatever reason, women have this sense that when they're going to be proposed to, they become increasingly difficult to deal with. Somehow, it's like, I don't know, but so many of my friends have experienced this. So we're in New York, we're trying to leave. I need to put this ring into something. She doesn't want me to wear a jacket. We're in New York. It's late in the fall. We're there. We're going to watch the New York Marathon later in that trip. And so I get this ring. In this process, she's wearing these heels that she cannot walk in.
Can't walk in heels.
So the jazz club is just down the street from our hotel. So I'm thinking we're going to walk there, and then we can walk just catty corner from there to the horse carriage ride. Well, we get outside the hotel, and she's already complaining about her feet. So we end up having to rent a taxi. But in New York, we're on a one-way street. So instead of going like 100 yards down the street, we have to get in a taxi going the opposite direction and do all of these one-way turns. I end up obviously paying for the taxi, giving the taxi driver a tip. We go to dinner, have a great time. We're enjoying dinner. We're leaving dinner to go to the horse carriage ride, and I realize I have money for the horse carriage ride, but I just spent the tip for the horse carriage ride on the taxi driver and tip. So now here we are. My feet just
hurt, so I don't really have any compassion.
So we're finished dinner. We're walking to the horse carriage ride. I'm realizing, wait, I need to get some more cash. I spot an ATM just kind of a small distance down the block. So now we got to walk. So you're getting upset and then not helping me out. Yeah. Literally a rat the size of a decent sized cat.
It was this big.
Runs across. And
I don't even like bugs that are this big. So
she doesn't like flies.
I don't like any of that. So it was it was traumatic.
So pretty traumatic. I get some money out. We get on the horse carriage ride, but let's just say the romance isn't quite there. And so I'm like trying to time it where we can like recreate some loving atmosphere.
Oh, but you didn't tell him you had to carry me. Didn't you carry me to the ATM?
Oh yeah, I had to carry her because she wouldn't walk anymore because of these high heels.
It wasn't my proudest moment, but that pain, when you're in pain, it just makes you think, your brain shuts off. It's just survival mode.
So we get on the horse carriage ride. I spend first 80% of the horse carriage ride just trying to like recreate the atmosphere, but she's like stiff and angry, and I'm like,
So
man,
bad.
this is the moment to propose, right? So I'm waiting, finally get half, and then I'm like, I'm running out of time. We're kind of turning the corner. I can see the end of this ride. So I propose, and she said yes,
Yes.
which was
Of
fantastic.
course I said yes.
And yeah, so we got that was the proposal.
Yep. Beautiful.
And then about 9 months later, we got married.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. It's been a love story in its own sense. And now we're 12 years in, almost, I guess, 13 next July.
Yeah.
And excited for what's to come.
There it is. There's our story.
All right. Talk to you later.